when she's
Yeah.
talking about this beauty thing and people are like, well, you can't be an outsider, you're beautiful. It's like gaslighting. All of that compounds. That is all trauma that comes out
Yeah.
in very different ways that trauma is a part of our culture because we all have it.
Yeah.
Episode 64, Taylor Swift is autistic.
Welcome to the Autistic Culture podcast. Each episode, we dive deep into autistic contributions to society and culture by introducing you to some of the world's most famous and successful autistics in history.
Before we get started, a quick disclaimer on how we use the word autistic. The purpose of this show is not to diagnose the people or characters we discuss as autistic. While some may have announced being autistic, what we're really sharing here is our observation of what is representative of autistic culture. It can sometimes be difficult for autistic people to celebrate our natural tendencies and traits due to the perception of autism as a disorder that needs to be fixed, a long history of damaging medical interventions to get autistics to fit in with mainstream culture, and protective masking skills many of us have developed to try to stay safe.
Whether you are autistic or just love someone who is, your hosts, Dr. Angela Loria, the linguistic autistic,
and licensed psychological practitioner Matt Lowry, welcome you to take this time to be fully immersed in the language, values, traditions, norms, and identity of Autistica.
Well, hey, Matt.
Oh, hey, Angela. Oh man, today's gonna be I look forward to seeing what we bring forth today.
Well, let me tell you, I am terrified, and I am going to start this episode with probably 10 minutes of disclaimers before we get to the topic. And
I'm excited because I don't understand what we're getting into.
We are getting into the universe of Taylor Swift.
There's a universe, you say?
There is a whole fucking world. There is a whole world, and we are going to talk about it. And if you do not want to hear... Yeah, go ahead.
So you're telling me it's not just a single human being making songs, and this single human being being a human being may or may not be autistic, but we'll figure that out today. You're saying that there's more than that.
There is so much more than that. So if you want to skip to the good part, fast forward about 10 minutes, because I got to start with these disclaimers. Listen to this one and then fast forward. Don't come at me. All right? Don't come at me. We are doing our best here. We're just two people.
Why are you coming at us? Are you bringing pie? You can bring pie.
They don't usually bring pie.
Why don't they bring pie? What is with you people?
Okay. My first disclaimer is that I love Taylor. I love Taylor's music, but I am not a Swiftie. And Matt, I'm going to guess you are not a Swiftie either. Am I correct?
I'm not sure what a Swiftie is.
But an Uber fan. Is Taylor Swift your special interest?
Oh, no, that is unfortunately not the case.
Right.
I know of the suggestions to shake it off, shake it off. But other than that, I am going to be reading a lot of quotes today that I have no idea where they come from or what they are.
Fantastic.
And again, I have absolutely no idea how terrified I should be. So I'm still excited and enthusiastic.
Oh, great. Let me just clarify. Are you saying, like, when I say Taylor Swift, the only song that comes to mind is Shake It Off?
That is indeed the only song that I know of hers. Yeah, that's the one.
You got so much to learn, bro.
Because I am a fan of shaking it off.
All right, listen. If Taylor Swift is your special interest, I want to say you are probably right and I am probably wrong. And I think, Matt, you would support that theory. People with special interests, like autistic people with special interests, they know more than people without the special interest in that thing.
I always defer to authorities on the subject. So if you know more and you're already writing angry comments, write good comments. Teach us. We want to know.
That's my point. Yes, correct.
If you are Taylor Swift, I make the same offer I make to Dan Harmon every third episode. We will intentionally make mistakes, and you can come on here and correct those mistakes.
Yeah, we'd be happy to talk to you, Taylor.
Dan Harmon was hatched from an egg, and he was born in July 3 years ago. So again, if you want to correct that, Dan Harmon, by all means,
Just-
come on our podcast and
Just
correct
come
those
on the
things.
podcast. Yeah,
So
exactly.
again, Taylor Swift also hatched from an egg 3 years ago. So come on here and correct us, please. Tell
we
us
might
better.
be wrong.
Yeah, we may be.
So
Who knows?
like, I think it was like yesterday or the day before. One of my special interests is the band Crowded House. I've probably talked about it 1,000 times because that's what I seem to do. And there was an article about, there's a new Crowded House album out. There was an article about it. And it said in, 2,000 words, there were 3 words that was like Crowded House, founded by Neil Finn and his brother, Tim. And I'm like, dude, Tim was not a founding member. How stupid do you have to be? How hard would you have to look to figure out that dumb fact? Like, I was outraged, incensed, beside myself, posting wildly in the fan groups. Look at this journalist asshole who doesn't know. Who would think that? How dumb would you have to be?
I'm going to get so much fucking hate mail.
Yeah. So I am acknowledging, and obviously all Matt knows is shake it off. So I'm going to acknowledge it for him. You probably know better. I am doing my best. This episode has been requested, and I was very happy to do the deep dive. I got a couple Swifties who are listeners to help us. So Amanda and Brittany are going to get a lot of shout outs in this episode. I could not have done this without you.
Shout outs and blame.
And blame, yes. Go
blame.
after Brittany and Amanda. No, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. That was disclaimer number 1. Disclaimer number 2. First of all, I don't even believe we should have diagnosis in the word when we talk about autism. I was not diagnosed Italian. Autism is a culture, thus the name of the show. So when I say Taylor Swift is autistic, that is shorthand for Taylor Swift represents aspects of autistic culture that I am here to celebrate. Matt, you're remaining silent.
I just again imagining the inbox full of apparent hate mail that I did not realize that I was getting into this morning when I made my tea. So tea for Taylor, maybe. I don't know. Is that a thing? Who knows?
It is. That's an Easter egg. Yes. When she spills the tea and she has like a snake pour the tea and then she spills the tea about, I forget who that boyfriend was, Harry Styles or someone. Oh yeah, you just went into the Taylor Swift universe without even knowing it.
That was very intentional. Yes, I'm one of you. No, it was not. Yes.
We are not, and we are not pretending. Okay.
Oh, so no masking today then.
I'm going to go through the autistic culture framework here for a minute. And
Is this still part of the disclaimer?
We got a lot of disclaimer to come. I am only halfway through my disclaimers. I promise we'll talk about Taylor. But I want you to picture an Irish girl an Irish American girl, an Irish girl in Ireland doing Irish dancing in the full costume, the whole Michael Flatley river dance thing. You got it? You got the image in her head? That is Irish culture. You are picturing Irish culture. Why are you picturing Irish culture? Because you know it, because it's in movies and it's celebrated and it's beautiful. And I love a little Michael Flatley, a little river dance, right?
Yeah.
So I believe that the entire Taylor Swift universe is a part of Autistica. But if you think about, so I have somebody on my team, her name is Carmi. And Carmi is a Dutch person, ethnically way back, who grew up in South Africa and now lives in the U.S. She has
a complicated heritage.
No Irish in her whatsoever. But she spent most of her childhood doing Irish dance. So if you saw Carmi doing Irish dance, you would say, oh, look, Irish culture. You wouldn't be saying Carmi is Irish. Carmi is not Irish. You could say Carmi's American. You could say she's South African. You could say she's Dutch. There's no way to say she's Irish, but she is a part of Irish culture when she's in her Irish dancing getup and doing her thing, right? That is what I mean. I am not doing a medical diagnosis. I don't even think it's necessary. I don't need to medically diagnose Carmi as Irish or not Irish to say she is a part of Irish culture.
I prefer the word identification when it comes to the tisms, and when I officially, because I do officially diagnose people with the tism, but I use the word identification because, again, I don't see it as a disorder or a disease or, anything that should be medicalized because, again, the stuff like you're talking about with our culture, because I am autistic.
Right. And those of you, including you and me, who have, let's say, children who have special needs that need to be accommodated, we're not saying those don't count because you are a part of autistic culture. If anything, those are more important. If an Irish person has, I don't know, POTS or hypermobility or lupus, I think they should get all the treatment and support they need for that, not because they're Irish. I don't think we should just
Right.
like get treated special because we're autistic. We're just autistic. That's it. There's no explanation. So
Meat body maintenance.
Meat body maintenance, exactly. So as the official PR department for all autistic people everywhere, this episode is about celebrating and promoting our heritage, not disclaimers. Okay. Okay. So related to that, like if you like, I know people say about me, like, oh, Angela, she thinks everyone's autistic. I promise you, I do not think everyone's autistic. The world would be much better if I did. I would not be complaining so much about the motor vehicle department, all of bureaucracy, and most of the medical world if there were more autistic people. So I don't think all people are Irish. I don't think all people are Italian. I don't think all people are autistic. I just think it's a beautiful culture worth celebrating, and we are going to do that today. And now I have one more disclaimer, but I promise this is the last one. I told you it'd be 10 minutes of disclaimers. Okay, last disclaimer is this, and this
this is
not
spookily accurate.
I've done
you
probably,
are nailing the time on this. Go on.
I would say 50 hours of research for this episode, and it was not until the final hour that I figured out my biggest hesitation with doing this episode.
Ooh.
So this is a personal disclaimer. So I kept thinking I was scared of the Swifties coming after me, or people saying like, you think everyone's autistic. She's obviously not autistic, whatever they're going to say. That is a fear, but I have a bigger fear. And I call this my Frogger syndrome. So when I was a child, I was gifted the video game Frogger. It was a handheld Frogger. I then did not leave my house for 2 years.
I love Frogger.
Yes. Ribbit.
That's also my approach to crossing traffic.
Ribbit. Okay. I will not sing all of Frogger to you all today. But I could, because I basically dedicated my life to Frogger and nothing else, and got into a multi-month state of autistic inertia playing Frogger. And right now, I do not have time for a new special interest. My biggest fear in making this episode and doing this research is that Taylor Swift would become a special interest for me. I am dangerously fucking close, and I am not going there, but I am resisting it with my deepest part of my soul. Do you understand this?
Yeah, well, that's the thing with any siren's call of a special interest. We're always around 2 steps from jumping right off the boat. So, yeah.
I didn't know I knew that, but psychologically I like watch for certain things and I'm like, "Ooh, this is going to be too good for me. I'm not going to do it because I don't have space for a new special interest."
Yeah.
And there's another thing. When you get a new special interest, I don't know if this happens to you, but it happens to me. I often lose one, because I just don't have enough time, and suddenly like Taylor Swift or Frogger takes over everything. And then I like don't have my other special interests. I have pre-grief about giving up a special interest because something new takes over my brain like a fucking virus.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the way. Because we don't do anything half-assed. If it's worth doing and worth obsessing about, we go all the way.
Right. And there's so much, like one TikToker, I'll probably share this, but one TikToker was saying like, I'm not a major Taylor Swift fan because I don't have, and this was the part where I almost lost my mind, I don't have every one of her albums on vinyl. And then I was like, oh no, I'd have to get everything on vinyl. I'd have to get every recording. I'd have to make spreadsheets. There's so much. I'd have to understand all these Easter eggs we're going to talk about. Like there's so much, and I would have to collect all of it. Some of it, no.
Of course you do.
All of it.
Yeah.
So
we can't just dip in. No, that is not the way. No.
So I did this research in stages over months. It's the longest I've researched any show because I didn't want to spend too much concentrated, focused time. Because every time I do, I suddenly have a week of all I want to do is talk about Taylor Swift. So I've had to I will not become a Swiftie. I will not become a Swiftie. I will not become a Swiftie.
You will shake it off. Shake it off.
I will shake it off, and we're going to talk about shaking it off. But first,
I made the one reference that I know. I made it. I don't get to do it again.
Just keep going with that.
Yeah,
just keep going with that. You got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to start maybe not at the beginning, but at a beginning for Taylor, which is she started writing songs when she was 12. So,
wow.
Yeah. And I will say my personal story is that when I grew up, like from as long as I'm conscious, what I thought happened to everyone on the planet was around 12 years old, you would find the thing you loved most in the world. And so for my dad, that was hot rods. He loved cars. He loved like Model Ts. And so then you would begin the process of dedicating your life to the thing you loved most in the world. So when my dad was 12, he got a shoe shine kit. He stood on the steps of St. Mary's Church in New Haven. He would shine shoes. He saved his money. And by the time he was 16, he bought his first car, flipped it. By the time he was 18, he started his business. He's in the Hot Rod Hall of Fame. Obviously, you will make lots of money doing the thing you love most in the world. I thought that's what everyone did.
I just love that your dad has the same origin story as Scrooge McDuck. That's cool.
Yes. That's actually a family joke too. So yes.
Wow. That's awesome.
So she, at 12, like two autistic people I know, wrote my first book. Actually, I wrote my first book at 7, but was also writing books at 12. So me and also my dad, and then also Taylor Swift, possibly, we don't know, did this thing that I have found to be a part of our heritage. Her special interest, my special interest of writing came from feeling like an outsider. And her special interest of writing songs came from a very similar place. So she, we can't really have a conversation about how Taylor represents autistic culture without talking about the classic of our people, which is the square peg factor.
Oh, yes. Very much so.
I always remember being described by adults as, well, she's a bit of a square peg. So is Taylor. Irish people have the drunkards. Italian culture has the hotheads, and autistic people in our culture, we have the square peg, the outsider. So one of Taylor's first songs is a song called The Outside. And Matt, I would like you to read a little bit from Taylor. These are not lyrics, but this is, I have to pause because, pausing the recording. Sorry. Okay. I'm going to give you this quote and then I'll restart.
Okay.
Okay, so this is Taylor talking about the song The Outside. I think it's there.
Oh, sorry. It froze there for a second. So, we'll take this 3 after the pause.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Hold on. This is Taylor talking about her song, The Outside.
This is one of the first songs I ever wrote, and it talks about the very reason I ever started to write songs. When I was 12 years old and a complete outcast at school, I was a lot different from the other kids, and I never really knew why. Back then, I used to try to change everything about myself that was different. I spent a lot of time alone in school, just watching people and watching social dynamics, and everyone talking to each other and amongst each other in class, and I learned a lot from being on the outside of things. Even though people hadn't always been there for me, music had. Oh, wow. Because that's a neurotypical thing to do.
Yeah.
Sarcasm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the lyrics from The Outside is, "How can I ever try to be better? I'm on the
Oh,
outside looking in."
wow.
I mean, come on, girl. That's it. That's autistic culture right there.
Wow.
So,
If you're listening to this and you've never experienced that, uh, good for you, I guess. But if you do understand that, then you see why this episode had to be made. So,
yeah. Right.
yeah.
Because you're like, if you're having these many problems, Angela, maybe don't make this episode. Listen, Taylor is the biggest star in the universe right now, and she represents autistic culture. And as the PR department, if we are not like waving the flag, the biggest star in the world is from Autistica.
Yeah.
Like we have to celebrate this. There is so much to celebrate.
Yes.
So in another one of her songs, Mastermind, she said this, which I will have you read, Matt.
No one wanted to play with me as a little kid, so I've been scheming like a criminal ever since, to make them love me and to make it seem effortless. I could change everything about me to fit in. Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about like the thing that gets me about this line is that I've been scheming like a criminal, because for me, I feel like I get a kind of a C- in masking. Like I was never good at it. Even if I like tried to fit in, I would always get kicked out of all the groups and fired from all the jobs and all the things. But often it was that I would be accused of being manipulative.
Yeah. Because you try to cover all the
And I
variables
feel
and try to figure
like
out how to
when
fit
she
in.
says like I've been scheming like a criminal, that has so many vibes of like the misinterpretation, the double empathy problem.
Yeah. Because you're logically trying to figure out how to make people like you. And that is not something that most people understand.
Mm. And then Taylor has a problem I don't have. But reporters consistently, like for over a decade of clips that I've seen, reporters are consistently saying to her, she can't actually be a square peg or feel like an outsider because she's so pretty and she has boyfriends. If you're pretty and you have boyfriends, how can you complain about anything?
Right. Yeah, I a good chunk of my business is conventionally physically attractive autistic women who go in for an evaluation, and the person evaluating them says, "No, you're far too pretty to be autistic. Also, you made eye contact. Also, may I have your number?" And that's inappropriate. So here we are.
Yeah, Fern Brady talked about that, her challenges with her diagnosis and being an attractive woman. So Taylor was interviewed about this. She said, I don't think being an outsider has anything to do with being beautiful or not being beautiful or having a certain type of beauty. I think it has to do with being different. Yes, being an outsider has to do with being an outsider. How about that?
Exactly. And being an outsider is not dependent on the meat body you were given at birth.
Yeah. Weird misconception, like extra
Very
layer. I think like I always looked awkward. And so I didn't get that particular feedback, but I can see how that gaslighting, because we talk about how impossible it is to be autistic and not be in trauma or CPSD. Right. Like there's almost no way to do it. And these are both examples. Like number one, I've been scheming like a criminal. She's saying that about herself. I hear ableism. I hear somebody who didn't understand the double empathy problem. Yeah. Somebody was like, why is she so manipulative? She makes up this story that she's like a bad person.
Yeah.
And that goes into the lyrics. And so when she's talking about this beauty thing and people are like, well, you can't be an outsider, you're beautiful. It's like gaslighting. All of that compounds. That is all trauma that comes out in very different ways that are that trauma is a part of our culture because we all have it.
Yeah.
We all share it.
And this is a whole other thing about our culture's like obsession with beauty and stuff. Because, you have people like Susan Boyle, who very talented, but again, it's an enigma that she's talented but not pretty. So, and
Right.
again, Susan Boyle, autistic, outwardly autistic,
Yeah.
and people say, "Oh yes, I could see that," because again, there's this weird thing because a lot of people associate being autistic with being different, and therefore she looks different. So therefore, yes, I could see that. But
Right.
it's again this weird double-edged pretty privilege thing because you are physically attractive, so therefore you can't have any deviations, and any deviations must be small enough to be acceptable, or we don't believe you.
Right.
And it's bizarre. And again, lots and lots of personal biases by the people who perpetuate that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And then it gets internalized because how could it
Yes.
not?
Yes. You hear the message enough, you start to believe it.
Right. So Taylor said something. I went through, so I was never like particularly conventionally attractive. And then I had a little glow up at one point and started getting invited to all the cool girl things. And I was always like, oh, this is what the cool girls were doing. I'm in with the cheerleaders, but then I was always like, at any moment, I felt like I could get kicked out. And
Ooh.
Taylor said this thing. She said, I could be sitting in the front row at an award show and I still don't feel like a cool kid.
Ooh, imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So, but where did she feel like a cool kid? Alone in her room with her special interests. So let us talk about how Taylor Swift beautifully embodies special interests, a key aspect of our culture. I'm not going to start with her songwriting. I am going to start with cats. So,
Wow. Wow, going right for the throat for the autistics there. Yes,
I just
cats.
realized as I said this, we did a whole episode on cats are autistic.
We did indeed.
I didn't even have that in my show notes.
It was probably our most popular episode ever because autistic people love us some cats.
Yeah. And listen, we didn't even talk about Taylor in that whole episode. She is a very catty cat lover, like catty cat, cat. And I'm going to put this TikTok into the show notes. I have to tell you about it, which makes it less fun than actually watching it. But I know you'll be able to imagine this. So she goes on Jimmy Kimmel. And everybody knows she likes cats because she's always posting these very cozy pictures at home with her cats. And she's talking about cats and she writes about her cats. And it's a big part of her life. And she has a lot of information about cats. But she goes on to Jimmy Kimmel and they start a 1-minute timer and ask her to name breeds of cats for a minute straight. Might have even been like 3 minutes. Like, seriously, you have to see this video. It is absolutely batshit. I am going to share it with you because it is just too good not to. So let's see. You might get some of this audio. To share audio, share a tab instead. We're going to share a tab.
This is like sharing TV on the radio.
Right? Totally. Okay, here we go. All right. First of all,
there's a video. Neat.
Yes. The quote on this is, if she were a 12-year-old boy listing dinosaurs, there would be no doubt.
I love that.
Here we go.
Wow.
So, yeah.
We love sharing stories of autistic culture. And if you are seeing yourself in any of these stories and you're wondering if maybe you're one of us, or maybe you're already diagnosed or self-diagnosed, and you want to know if Matt can help you live your life better and be more authentically autistic, check out his website at mattlowrylpp.com. That's Matt, M-A-T-T, Lowry, L-O-W-R-Y. And then that LPP, it stands for Licensed Psychological Practitioner. So head on over to mattlowrylpp.com and learn more about working with my buddy Matt.
Yeah.
Wow.
This woman can list cat breeds in a minute, like fire, like if it were a 12-year-old boy listing dinosaurs, there would be no doubt. I think that's accurate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because again, bias is in the autism diagnoses, because young white cisgender boys way more often identified because of stereotypes.
Right. She also, so that's what I have to say about cats. She also has a special interest of antique stores. And she said, I love going to antique stores, but when I go, I slip into this trance and I'm picking things out, and my friends get very scared of it because it is a zombie-like experience.
Oh, she's in a flow state.
Yeah, I was going to say, would you like to talk about
Who?
Csikszentmihalyi, perhaps?
Oh yeah, because that's the thing. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. I cannot spell it. Look up on Wikipedia. Flow psychology, flow with a capital F. He first identified that there is a state of Zen that people can slip into when really, really, really interested in things. But the people who are more likely to slip into this state of Zen are people that he identified as having, quote, an autotelic personality. People who are very highly intrinsically motivated, people who want to do their absolute best, people who want to know the most that they could possibly know. And he identified autistic people to a T back in the 70s, before we knew all this current stuff. And our monotropic focus helps us slip into a flow state more easily than anyone else, because our monotropism is where our Zen lies. And when she goes into this, quote, creepy zombie state, that's her monotropism slipping in, and all of a sudden she is in full autism mode. It's neat.
It is neat. So anyway, we obviously have her lifelong spin of writing songs and making music, and that leads me to the spin she created. So enter the Swifties. Here we go. One of the things about the Taylor Swift universe that is so autistic, first of all, is that it's a universe, but are the fans. I'm not sure what the verb is there. So one of the Swifties, who is a listener who helped me with this episode, I am going to give you a quote from her. This is from Amanda Elliott.
The entire point of being a Swiftie is that you are obsessed with Taylor to the point where you can know everything you can possibly, to where you know everything you possibly can about her. And you know what that is? A special interest. Now name a group of fans of an artist that dedicated to them. You can't. And why? Because Swifties, many of which are probably autistic, gravitate towards the music that they can relate to and the people they can relate to.
Right?
Yeah. That is the way to a T that we've described a lot of the other fandoms that we've talked about on this podcast.
Yeah, like when we talked about the Star Trek episode, we talked about how many of those fans are autistic. So
yes, we are.
And I bet, I don't have any actual concrete information on this, but I bet if you go to a bunch of Star Trek conferences, I know this happens with D&D people, is you meet a whole bunch of people that you like that are talking about the fact they're autistic. And you're like, oh, I wonder if I am too. There's a lot of like diagnosis that or identification that comes by being a part of a community where your autism is celebrated. And there is a TikToker. I don't have her name now, but I'll get it in the show notes. This is what she said.
I have to be honest and tell you that the thing that finally forced me to accept that, yes, I am autistic, is the way that I am a fan of Taylor Swift. I am physically incapable of enjoying her a normal amount. She bought a parcel of land in my brain that is continent-sized. I am legally forbidden from getting started with Cornelia Street.
I don't know what Cornelia Street is. I think it's an album or something, but what she was talking about there was, as soon as she starts to mention Cornelia Street, her friends are like, "Oh my God, can you please fucking shut up about Taylor Swift?" So,
This is the way.
it really is. It really is. It's the face people make when I bring up, and you even heard me when I brought up Crowded House earlier.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely have that inbuilt shame because I know everyone's going to roll their eyes. So I started by apologizing because I know I talk about it too much, but I don't know how to not talk about it because it's such a big part of my life. But I know nobody cares and I don't want to talk about it so much, but there it is.
It's the same reason we haven't covered George Lucas on the podcast yet, because I haven't been able to set aside 8 hours to properly cover it. So, you know. Yeah.
Right. He's like, "Angela, can you please block off 8 hours? We have to do the George Lucas episode."
Yeah. We have to do it right. I'm going to have a roaring fire and a pipe, and we'll say Volume 1, the early days, from ages 1 to 3.
Do it.
Yeah.
That probably is how we should do it, because I know you're not kidding. And I I get that. There's I know so much about Crowded House that I could either tell you nothing or I suddenly want to go into this it's a lot. And I know you don't care. At least George Lucas people care about. But anyway, and Taylor Swift people care about, which is why these fan communities are so incredibly nourishing and such an important part of Autistica. To me, Autistica is a map. It's a land. It looks a lot like How to Train Your Dragon. I don't know what it looks like to you, but that's what it looks like to me. Toothless is there. And there's the Swifties all hang out in the village hall and they have shake it off-a-thons. They live there.
I dig it.
I feel it. I see it. And that community, that friends, family, and fictional characters, but not separate. It's not like friends I can't talk to my fictional characters about, or family where I have to pretend to be someone else. It's I get to be all of me when I am with my fellow Swifties who are excited when I bring up Cornelia Street because they have a small tidbit to share.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
and that is what we call social interaction, this mutual info dumping. And saying, well, actually, new research has been discovered about Cornelia Street. And, you say, oh, I didn't know that. That's very interesting.
Oh my goodness, this teeny tiny comma was missing. And in the new edition, they've added the comma.
Exactly. This is the way.
So, do you have thoughts on what makes something a good candidate? And I there are some reasons Crowded House fits, but they really aren't a good candidate. There are some things like George Lucas or Star Trek or Taylor Swift that are good candidates for special interest. Trains. What do you think some of the things are that make something this is something autistic people will latch onto that will keep our hyper connected brains engaged? Do you have theories?
It completely locked out for me. You may have to repeat that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Well, a cut take here. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. So do you have theories about what makes something a good candidate to be a special interest? Because our brains get hooked on some things more frequently. We've talked about trains or Legos or D&D. What do you think are the qualities of a potential special interest?
Okay, so we can talk about the von Restorff effect.
Okay, let's. Woo.
Yeah, this is actually something I used to teach when I taught psychology at UK, and so it turns out that the von Restorff effect is something that is unique and personally relatable to you, to where it is immediately shunted into long-term memory, and it is so memorable that you cannot possibly forget it. And with the way that our brains create long-term memories is through, branching and creating new neurons and creating new neural pathways, and not neurogenesis, create synaptogenesis, creating these new connections within our brain. And if there's a novel piece of information, all of a sudden your hippocampus screams, "Oh my God, we gotta keep that." So I would talk about, if I was going to rattle off a very long list of words like bicycle, red, pineapple, etc., etc. If I rattle off a long list of words, you might remember the words that I said at the beginning when you're paying attention. You might remember the words at the end, right before I stopped talking, but you would forget anything in the middle, except for anything personally relevant to you. Because when I used to read off these words, I would throw in the word sex. Everybody remembered sex. And as a matter of fact, years and years and years later, a colleague of mine was looking through Facebook, and a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, he ended up on this one woman who had two things available to show on her public Facebook page, both of which were quotes attributable to me. And he said, "Do you know this person?" I was like, "I don't know." And they said, "Well, she knows you." And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. What did she say?" And she said, number one, all that we know about psychology is directly attributed to our observation of college freshmen and rats. And I said,
It's true.
"Oh, yeah, I did say that. Yeah, go on." And the other thing is, sex, sexy, sexy, sex. And I said, "I did say that." So apparently, again, when I was teaching psych, those were the most memorable things, so memorable that this woman said, "I want those quotes on my public Facebook page."
Right.
And those are the only things that will be on my public Facebook page. So again, von Restorff for the win, because apparently not only did she retain it, but it's a memorable enough story that I retained it. So these are the things about our special interests. They tickle our brain in such a specific way that it becomes immediately accessible to long-term memory, where we digest, where we seek out this information, where it becomes the siren song, and we soak up as much of it as humanly possible, because it tickles our brain in such a way that we get a dopamine rush from just existing. It cut out again, huh?
Yeah, but that's okay. We're back now. Okay, so the way that
The connection was doing pretty well earlier today. I don't know why it's gotten worse.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's very annoying.
I blame Kentucky.
I do too, but I could be Riverside. I get nervous.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway,
so
cut there, and
so novelty is this thing our brain likes to hang, and then the story, right? Like when you talk about the freshmen and the rats, like there's a whole, I could see the whole story. So there is something called the Taylor Swift cinematic universe. So much like Marvel, she has created a world. And then within that world, there are all these novelties. We're going to talk about a few of them, but this is a quote from The Take about the Taylor Swift Cinematic Universe, or TCU. So share this.
This is going to be interesting because, spoiler alert, Taylor Swift may be showing up in Deadpool 3 because she and Ryan Reynolds are tight. So
crossover episodes.
She may be showing up as the X-Man Dazzler, who is a musical star. But anyway, we'll get into this. So, one of the things that make Taylor Swift songs so addictive is that they exist in a larger musical universe. We're pretty used to this in film and TV, as numerous interconnected story worlds have chased the explosive popularity of the MCU. But few artists have applied the cinematic universe approach so extensively to music. Through her combined discography, the Taylor Swift cinematic universe tells a unified narrative of a woman navigating her place in the world, maturing from brash, naive youth to confident, self-assured feminist, full of mature, reflective wisdom. Here's our deep dive into the motifs and takeaways of the expansive TCU.
Yeah, so I'll drop that quote if you want to read more about the universe. I'm going to talk about one aspect of the universe. The first universe, one of the first universes I fell into, which is a funny story how I fell into it, but is Hamlet. So when I was in high school, I went to, you'll like this story. This is a side story. I'm showing you how amazing works in autistic culture. People enjoy this. Okay. When I was in high school, I went to this theater program and my roommate was a girl named Jessica Capshaw. Anything yet? Anything yet?
Is that Steven Spielberg's wife?
Correct. Daughter. So it's Kate Capshaw's
Kate Capshaw's
daughter.
Yeah. Oh my God. Wow.
Okay. So Jessica and I were in Hamlet. I played Polonius. Jessica played Hamlet because, Jessica Capshaw. Yeah. She's a very nice roommate. We used to sing Joan Baez songs. And on opening night of Hamlet, Steven Spielberg sent me flowers. True story. Steven
Holy
and Kate.
God.
Yeah. Crazy story. So I fell into the rabbit hole of Hamlet. It was an amazing, there's so much Hamlet, it's everywhere. And whenever there's a Hamlet anything, I go see it or watch it or do it. And one of my favorite things was Tom Stoppard's Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead.
Yes.
And it took me a long time to realize it's actually not that good of a play. What makes it good is if you know Hamlet, it is an Easter egg festival.
Yes.
There's so many references inside references. And then if you know things that know things about Hamlet, there's references about references. And then if you know other Tom Stoppard things, there's references about Rosencrantz and Guildenstern that reference Hamlet. It's like Easter egg fiesta. And then I was like, this is probably annoying for other people. Like other people probably don't like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead because it's just like an average play if you don't know the Easter eggs.
Right.
So
it's coded specifically for the superfan.
Right. Taylor Swift is coded specifically for the superfan. That is why you and I are not, it's not that her music is that good or bad, or you would like it or you wouldn't like it. Like maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. But the reason autistics gravitate to it is she is a world builder. She's not just writing these albums as points in time. She built the universe. She embeds Easter eggs throughout. And it is a big puzzle or mystery that makes you feel like an insider.
Because when you know all the trivia and you know all the details, it's speaking to you specifically, not the general audience.
Right. Okay, so the first thing she does, which we also love puzzles. We've talked about that in the Sherlock episode and the chess episode, right? So the first thing she does is on the album Red. Oh, Swifties, if it's not the first thing, forgive me. The first thing, according to my limited knowledge, is on the liner notes for Red, she capitalizes certain words. And then if you add up all the capitalized letters, they're an anagram.
Oh, that's neat. I like that. I like puzzles.
You see why I didn't want to do this episode.
I like that.
Solve all the puzzles.
Oh God. No, that's sucking me in. Oh no. Oh no. What do you mean there's puzzles?
It's all puzzles.
Oh my God.
All puzzles.
I feel the call. Oh God.
Don't do it. Don't resist. Resist with me. Podcasts need to be our special interest right now. We don't have time for these puzzles.
Oh no.
Okay, so it gets so much better though, because we have the universe. Now we have this anagram. Fine, we can solve the anagram. I'll do it for you. Spoiler alert. It spells out maple latte.
Maple latte.
Right. You don't know the universe, so that doesn't mean anything to you. Might I interest you in looking at every single Instagram post to figure out what maple latte means?
Well, I think now we have to.
Yes.
I don't think we have a choice.
Taylor goes on a date with Jake Gyllenhaal. They go to Central Park. It is Thanksgiving time. They get maple lattes. The paparazzi take a picture. You would only know this if you were a fan. That's why Rosencrantz and Guildenstern is funny. It's only funny if you're a Hamlet fan. So they get maple lattes. It gets photographed by the paparazzi and they say they're having maple lattes. She writes a song, Forgive Me Swifties. I don't know what fucking song this was. And in the liner notes for that song, she says maple lattes. So if you know the universe, you know this song is about Jake Gyllenhaal. And she is, as I promised, spilling the motherfucking tea on Jake
That's
Gyllenhaal.
awesome.
Fucking brilliant. Who but an autistic person? Who, Matt?
Wow.
Come on. Are we
That's-
debating this?
I like that. That is some deep coding on there because you know, it would be far too neurotypical to say "suck it, Donnie Darko," but
Right.
yeah, this is that's neat. Oh, I like that. That's some
Okay.
complexity. Oh,
I'm not going to get into the whole thing about her music being stolen. So there's other podcasts on that. But at a super high level, she recorded some albums. She ended up having a falling out with those guys. They still own her music. She tried to buy it back.
Oh,
Some
no.
asshole named Scooter wouldn't let her buy it back.
fuck you,
And
Scooter.
so, fuck you, Scooter. I think we've all agreed on that. And so she waited for the time limits to expire and she recorded her own version. Have you heard the phrase Taylor's version? It's kind of gotten into the vernacular.
I have not. Explain this to me.
Okay. So there was an album, let's say it was the album Red that we just mentioned. There's a version that Scooter and those people will get paid on forever. And so
The bullshit version.
Right. So she's not, it's the original version. I'm going to tell you, me and Emmett would like only the original Red songs because those are the right way in my head.
The original recordings.
Yeah. But anyway, it's a whole different issue. So
Yeah.
she's not making fair compensation from the original Red, the one that
Right.
I listened to when it came out. So she gets out of her contract. She offers them a lot of money to buy it and they say no. And then when the contract expires, she records her own version that she gets paid all of the monies for.
Oh, good. I like that.
And her super fans, which there are a lot of, know to only listen to Taylor's version. So I'm still sure he's making plenty of money, but a lot of the money now goes to her. Taylor's version is a way of sort of saying now in Gen Z speak, like, this is my way. I'm not getting screwed. Like, I'm doing it again, but I'm doing it my way.
Good for her.
Yes. So on Instagram, where her fans gather, she selected pictures of herself from different gigs. They just look like pictures to me. So an example would be the first one. She is wearing a sports bra and like joggers, and she's holding a microphone up to her mouth like this. And in another one, she is standing kind of Jesus style with her arms stretched out. And there are 4 of these pictures, and she posts them. That is all the information we have. However, if you look at these pictures and you are fucking batshit mental crazy in this cinematic universe.
I do love that we're going to go all Zapruder film on this. So, yes, please continue.
Yes. So the way she's holding her microphone, you could sort of see her body is the shape of an S. And in the next one, her body is kind of in the shape of an N. One knee is up, the other leg is down. It's like a lowercase n maybe. And then in the other one, it's in the shape of a T. And in the other one, her legs are pointed out and it's in the shape of a V. SNTV. People are madly decoding like fucking QAnon posts. They're trying to figure out SNTV. Speak Now, Taylor's version. Speak Now must be another one of her albums. I'm sure it's lovely. So she doesn't post my album is coming out on March 27th. She literally posts 4 pictures of herself that only super fans. Doesn't it make you want to get the album? You like decode the puzzle and your prize is you get to give her $20 for the album. So
Again, I have never listened to the music, but oh my God, do I respect a person who speaks only in cryptic puzzles.
Right.
Oh,
That
that's
only has to
magnificent.
speak in
That
cryptic puzzles.
that makes me very happy. Oh, wow.
So
Like,
at Swift NYC is a fan who was featured by Teen Vogue. This is what she says about Taylor's world building.
Taylor Swift's a mastermind because everything she does, she thinks about it at least 10 steps ahead with her fans in terms, this is a very long sentence, with her fans in terms of having that connection with secret clues, Easter eggs, hidden messages in her music. Also, when it comes out, the lyrics of her sounds and the meaning behind these songs.
Right.
Yes, I do
She's
like
fucking
that.
brilliant.
I am I am very much respectful of secret codes and arcane rules and Easter eggs, and that's it. This is Gravity Falls as a person who makes music. I
Yeah,
like that. That's neat.
one of my early special interests was I did a lot of ghostwriting for espionage books, and this
Ooh,
is straight up spycraft. Like
that's
there is
neat.
like operations and methods in this.
I
It's
like
good.
that.
It is advanced. So at one point she uses the press in these really cunning ways. So at one point
Ooh,
she's dating Harry Styles, and they take a picture of them together and they're wearing matching origami paper airplane necklaces. And then she writes a song about Harry Styles, and in the video she holds out that necklace. It's kind of like dangling in front so that fans would know the song is about him, but there's like you can't like charge her for like libel, or what's the verbal one? I'm forgetting the other one.
uh, yeah, slander or
Slander. Yeah,
yeah.
slander is a verbal. Like it can't be called slander because all she did is hold a paper airplane.
Yeah,
But
because again, in court, that would look like you are insane or a
right,
Machiavellian genius. And she's like, and again, using that pop persona and the pretty privilege, you say, "I'm just a girl, tee hee," and then
right,
yeah,
yes.
that's neat.
So who
That's
knew?
cool.
I didn't get it. I often heard the word Easter eggs, but I didn't get like what people meant by that in reference to Taylor. To me, the interesting part is the thing that make the Easter eggs work is that it's world building.
Yes,
Like
yes,
that's the magic. So
because you're in on it.
because you're
You
in on it.
Yeah, you get the references, you understand that there's more. Well, again, this is why I love Star Wars so much, because it's not just what you see. I tried to explain to an ex that the entire cloud city of Bespin is both heaven, hell, and purgatory. And that's why, they're in the clouds, but they go down to the depths, and Han is frozen in carbonite. And it's with minus the sequel trilogy. The sequel trilogy was a horribly written mess. Thank you, J.J. Abrams. Yeah, but anyway, but everything that George Lucas did was magnificently layered, and it's so good, and that's again why I love his style and why we keep bringing him up on a Taylor Swift episode, because I do love the layers. I be an ogre who loves the layers.
It's weird. It feels like a gift, doesn't it? Feel like when you get
It
a present,
does.
it's a very similar feeling in my body. And I will tell you, it makes me want to squeal and flap my hands like this,
That is so fun. I do love that.
which is what Taylor does when she is excited. Taylor is very known for Stimmy McStimming. Amanda
Ooh.
Elliott, my Swiftie insider, has this to say about Taylor's stimming.
We often see her stim. This is most seen in media interviews on YouTube, and she specifically mentions that she shakes her leg. Wow, I missed that reference. Which is a common stim among even neurotypicals, though she talks about how it makes people think she is nervous when she is not. This is a common occurrence for me. That was in Vogue's 73 Questions. I like that she included a reference. Well done.
Oh, yeah, there's references throughout
yeah.
in Amanda's stuff.
We also commonly see her stim when she is happy or excited, which, by my understanding, is something neurotypicals do not
That is the autistic culture piece. It's the stimming when we're happy. It's the autistic ecstasy. Then when I
Yes.
hear an Easter egg, I have to squeal at the top of my lungs and flap my hands.
We do.
That's the autistic culture
We
piece.
we are so physically moved by that which we like. We have to let it out. Oh my God! It comes up organically and naturally shake it off. Oh my God! That
That's
was
what's coming
that's
next. You
that
just-
actually fit. Oh my God! Wow, that
Correct.
actually fit.
I'm about to get there. Finish the quote.
Okay. There's more. Let's hear. We see this most in the Miss Americana documentary, where she finally takes a stance politically, social justice, and when she gets excited about her songwriting. Getaway Car is what I'm mostly referencing here. We also see this most specifically in two instances in the making of the Mine MV video on YT, when she's excited about being in the middle of the woods, and again when she's excited about the video. It doesn't look real. It doesn't look real.
So many references. Wow. Thank you, Amanda. I went and looked at each of these references. She is right. There is autistic, what I experience as a autistic ecstasy in her stimming. That is not just bouncing your leg when you're nervous. That's what I see.
That is fantastic. I like that.
And then if you were, let's say, somebody who felt physically moved to stim, it might be something you write about. You might write these lyrics here.
Oh my God. Wow. Oh, I feel so happy to be involved.
Yes.
Shake it off, but I keep cruising. Can't stop, won't stop moving. It's like I got this music in my mind, saying it's gonna be all right.
But I keep cruising, can't stop, won't stop moving. It's like I got this music in my mind saying it's gonna be all right. And the haters gonna hate. That is why she wrote Shake It Off. That is the song of our people. That is a cultural hymn. That is a national gem.
I'm actually very happy now that that's the one song that I know.
I know.
Because otherwise it would be like the Swiftie equivalent of, I don't know, like, yeah, that's the one. We all hate that song because it's the normal one. So yeah, that's something that stuck with me, because that's but you impressive.
Can see how, if you had the experience stimming that many of us do, and then you heard that song, it would resonate with you more than another topic. Like that would hit us harder than like an Olivia Rodrigo song would. There's something, that's why we are attracted. That is why, just like with Star Trek or Star Wars or D&D, that's why there is a high concentration of autistics, happens to be autistic women with Taylor. That's why there are many autistic fans.
It sticks in our brains. The von Rostorff effect is in full effect.
Yeah. Sexy, something.
Oh, yes.
Okay. There are lots and lots of pictures of her spinning as a kid. That is very difficult for me to share on this podcast, but luckily Brittany Sellers, Swiftie and fan of the pod, has sent many pictures and videos. I'm going to link them all in this post so you can see them. There is an amazing collection of pictures. So I'm going to share really quickly with you. She has great pictures of, you could see that Taylor Swift is double jointed elbows and other traits. She is pigeon-toed. Hypermobility. Yes. There's a bunch of pictures of her doing crazy splits that go beyond the split range. She's pigeon-toed. She holds a pen atypically. She has the classic neck forward posture, which many of us, including me, have. Do you have that thing, the little hump? I think we talked about that. Do you have that little hump on the back of your neck thing?
Funny that you should ask that, because that's what I've been researching a lot. They call it Cushing's syndrome, and it has to do with a high level of cortisol. And mine, I think, is mostly due to bad posture, because again, meat body. But yeah, that's a thing that is apparently very common among our people.
Well, it's interesting you say that because a lot of people say Taylor Swift has a posture problem. I'm not sure it's posture. I'm just going to show you, if you're looking at the video, you can see these. I'll do it super quick, but there's the hypermobility. Check out that double jointed shoulder elbow thing. Then we've got these
Wow.
pigeon-toed pictures.
Oh, that is interesting.
Pretty hard to argue with.
Wow.
Brittany's got these great pictures of her holding a pen between her second and third
Oh, wow.
fingers.
Oh, look at that. Oh, she's got the claw.
Do you know about this? I didn't know this one.
Yeah. Yeah, this is very, very common, especially among autistic OTs who see that this is how we hold pens very, very different and very weird. And I actually suffered through that when I was in school when people tried to fix it. And I now when I write, I hold my pen out like this, but it's very common to have like a claw grip, much like hers. Yeah.
Very interesting.
That is neat. I did not know
there's
that. Oh my God. Wow. Yes. Oh,
right?
the
Cushing,
posture.
We're looking at Cushing syndrome, potentially pictures, or her bad posture that people like to talk about.
That is fascinating. That is some interesting evidence. Oh my.
When autistic people find a special interest, they go deep and have a lot of knowledge, even if they don't have that formal education background to go with it. If you want to capture your spin in a book, check out Angela's work at differencepress.com. Differencepress.com. And find out more about becoming an author and establishing your credibility with a book.
All right. And then, just for fun, ladies and gentlemen, may I share with you T-Rex arms.
T-Rex arms. Oh my God, she does the T-Rex arms.
She does the T-Rex arms. And our girl Brittany found us a collection of photos. If you want to know what Matt is squealing about, head over to Autistic Culture podcast and you can see these pictures too, courtesy of Brittany Sellers. I'll also have the link to her TikTok, which has videos of her spinning and stimming as a kid.
That is some impressive evidence. I only knew it by the one music video that apparently references a ton of stimming and criticism from stimming. But yeah, that is some compelling evidence. Oh my God. Yes, Swifties, well done. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm convinced. Wow, that's neat.
Okay. So now we're going to take a slightly dark turn. So I mentioned earlier,
she's not a Nazi, is she? Oh God.
She's not a Nazi. It's not the Disney episode.
Okay.
She's not a Nazi. But we got a little capitalism coming into play, and we got to talk about how that affects things. But mostly I'm going to talk about CPTSD. So I mentioned earlier her whole songwriting career, this whole special interest, like my dad's special interest of cars. When he was with a car, nobody could reject him, right? You're under the car, you make the car go, you feel good. For me, I feel like shit. I have no friends. My friends are always talking shit about me. I write. It's me. It's my characters. We're alone. It's all good.
Oh, yeah.
So Taylor talks about, we started the episode with this after my 15 minutes of disclaimers. She talks about how she observed people.
Oh, yes.
And how it was really difficult for her to fit in or really know who she was. And this is a quote from her that I want to riff on once you share this with us.
Everyone feels like they need to be different versions of themselves. Really. Different people at work, different versions of yourself around friends, different people around different friends, different people around your family. Everyone has to be duplicitous or feels that they have to have in some ways be duplicitous. That's part of the human experience, but it's also exhausting. You learn every one of us has the ability to be a shapeshifter, and what does that do to us? That is an interesting generalization there.
Everyone does?
Wow. That's like Kinsey talking about how everyone has a collection that they love to admire and rearrange.
Who doesn't have a collection of bugs in their home that they need to like rearrange and look at? Come on, people.
Yeah. That is a fascinating generalization.
It really is. And so So there is another song that would be in, this would not be an anthem or a theme for our people. This would be in a dark, quiet room in Autistica, maybe a little cottage on the edge of the village. These lyrics are from the song Mirror Ball.
Oh, you'll find me on my tallest tiptoes, spinning in my highest heels, love, shining just for you. I want you to know I'm a mirror ball. I can change everything about me to fit in. Just reflecting everything around her.
Yeah. Yeah. I love this quote. You have to be different at work. You have to be different around friends. You have to be different around different friends. You have to be different around your family. I can tell you my post-masking journey is that I do not have to do those things. I do not do any of those things anymore.
Because that's exhausting. That's the thing that leads
and
to
she
burnout.
says it. Well, yes, you have just tipped your hand to the next part of this.
Wow.
So there is an amazing creator on TikTok. This is a quote from her. I'm gonna link this. I don't know how to say her TikTok name. emdb.a. Doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know what that Easter egg is, but emdb says this.
She has told us in her music she is fake and it's killing her, and she doesn't feel like there's anything she can do about it. She has sacrificed her authenticity on the altar of capitalism, and that's not going to change anytime soon because she is terrified of losing her fans. I personally think she is in a parasocial relationship with her fans. I do think she can emotionally handle the idea of losing...
That's supposed to say I don't think.
Oh, I don't think she can emotionally handle the idea of losing her fan base in exchange for being fully who she is. Oh, that is tragic. She's sacrificed on the altar of fame. Of capitalism.
Of capitalism. I so get this.
Wow.
I mean... in this video and some of her other videos, that creator talks about, like, you guys aren't going to like this, but there is going to be a major change in who Taylor Swift is. And that happened for me when I had my autistic burnout. I have talked to many people who were doing things, and for me it was exactly this. It was sacrificing my authenticity on the altar of capitalism.
Wow.
And when I stopped doing that, there was a change in absolutely everything. That's why the books I work on now are with autistic people. I changed my staff. I have a neurodivergent staff. I changed where I live. Like, I changed all my relationships. There is no way Taylor can go forever. Now, she has something going for her, which until the pandemic, I didn't have it to the extent Taylor had, but I had my life set up where I could mask for a long time. So after my diagnosis, what happened to me is I actually wasn't very good at masking. And when I got my diagnosis, I was like, oh, there is something wrong with me. Let me fix it. And then I learned how to mask. I didn't naturally study people like she did. I was not a mirror ball. I learned how to be a mirror ball. And my 7 years after my diagnosis, I was just learning how to act neurotypical for the first time in my life. And I was kind of good at it. And the reason why I was good at it is I don't have as much privilege as Taylor, but I had a lot of privilege. And so I could build in enough accommodations into my life by paying for things that I had more energy to mask for longer than you would if you had less privilege. So that creator I really like, she said this. Here's the next quote.
Every single accommodation that would make an autistic person be able to mask so well that people don't question if they are autistic or something that... Oh, take two. Every single accommodation that would make an autistic person be able to mask so well that people don't question if they're autistic is something that Taylor Swift can afford. So a lot of her fortune is used on masking and not being authentic because, again, she doesn't want to lose that.
And this whole parasocial relationship with fans is also something that hit me really hard because I had a huge fan base. I have hundreds of thousands of followers. I had a email list of 200,000. I would get stopped in airports all the time. And one of the things I had to realize in the process of unmasking was that was a completely parasocial relationship. There was nothing healthy about that for me. It was just layers and layers and layers of masking until I didn't know who I was anymore. And the only way to get out of those situations was to buy more things. I would
Right.
buy staff. I was flying private almost exclusively in 2018 and 2019
Yeah.
because it solved a lot of problems. And there's a whole thing about Taylor flying private now. And I
Yeah.
was just like using the tools of capitalism. And then my autistic labor, which we talked about on the Wikipedia episode, like my autistic labor was being exploited by me. My hyper
Yeah.
focus was being exploited at my expense. I was the problem. So
Yeah.
to me, this is what pre-burnout looked like exactly. Those are the lyrics I would have written.
Wow.
Maybe she has a creative outlet that I didn't have. Maybe that's helpful.
Yeah. But that's the thing, using your resources to survive, because especially we tend to have rejection sensitivity. And
Mm-hmm.
if she was to come out and be different and acknowledge that she was autistic, because as we've talked about before, it's very, very, very difficult, especially for celebrities to come out because of the connotation that it might mean to be autistic, because there might be some person somewhere saying, you can't be autistic, you're nothing like my 5-year-old boy. And
Right.
there may be levels of criticism that come out from that, or some weird biases or assumption that she can't make eye contact, or something about that. So that makes it dangerous for her to try to come out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And she is also, and there's a lot about this, and I won't go too into it, but there's a lot about her and people pleasing. There are songs
Oh,
about it. There's a whole boyfriend thing. And when you attach that to that parasocial relationship and then her innate kind of gravitation towards the fawn response,
yeah,
I love all these Easter eggs. I love the universe, right?
yeah,
But the audience is insatiable. They
yeah.
are information hunger autistics who want more and more from her. So she has to get more and more creative, creating anagrams and puns and videos, and the ante keeps getting raised. And she's got such a strong fawn response, such a strong parasocial relationship, that it's layer upon layer upon layer. And all of that is her using her capital and her energy to please her fans. And
So
like,
whereas
girl just probably wants to write a song.
she looks like a glamorous celebrity who gets all the attention and puts on the concerts, but in private she's sitting around with a cork board with lots of string and pictures and everything,
Yes.
trying to stay on top so that she won't lose her fans.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, we're going to talk about expectation sensitivity because I've got some stuff to talk about that too. So
Yeah.
I know like expectation sensitivity is what makes me so good at projecting a million different scenarios. Like
Yeah.
this, she just has to be projecting times 1,000. Like what that woman is holding
Yeah.
is insane. The mask is heavy. Don't you have a thing about the mask is heavy?
Oh, you see masks behind me, but yes, we talked about the Legend of Autistica, and how in the land of neurotypicals, the masks are heavy on the people, and it just drags you down, because as long as you're wearing a heavy mask, you can never be authentically yourself. You're always drained of your energy, and it's impossible to just be, because all your energy goes to maintaining the mask.
Yeah. She says she likes her publicist now, but she had one publicist who I think she eventually fired because her publicist said, I love everything you're doing, but...
Oh, God. You need to take out the cat jokes because it make you sound weird. Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
So Taylor's response to that was, well, I am weird and the cat jokes will stay. Uh,
Yeah, you don't need that kind of negativity in your life, Taylor.
no, and like those are like the little moments of humanity where she's like, well, I am weird.
Yeah.
Like that is part of unmasking. So there are some ways where she again has the privilege to do that. She's not going to get shot by the police for saying, well, I am weird, right?
Yeah.
So but she definitely comes off as awkward. This is from Amanda Elliott, who says the most glaring example I could think of is when she did a meet and greet and some sort of like pop-up, and someone proposed to his girlfriend at this whatever event she was at.
That's
and
awkward.
Taylor responded with a high five and said, so this is a thing now? You guys are engaged now? And she seemed very unsure of what to do in this situation. That's a scene from the Miss Americana documentary. My favorite part from the Miss Americana documentary is when she's getting ready and she says, my face looks mean. And she says, I have to remember not to get dead faced.
Oh.
Right.
Oh my.
So.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. How about
face.
that there? Yeah.
She said, I started writing songs because they made me feel more understood. I always felt weird. And then I would write these songs about being more understood, which interestingly is the same reason her cousin Emily gave for writing poetry. I'm going to get to that in a minute. More on her cousin Emily shortly. But first, since we're talking about Miss Americana, I had only seen, before researching this, I'd only seen clips about telling people not to vote for Trump in Miss Americana. I don't know if you know this whole thing. They're now saying her dating the football player, Kelsey Grammer, I can't remember who he is. But her dating that football player is some sort of Biden campaign move. I can't follow any of that. It's exhausting. What I can tell you is she is very inclined towards justice sensitivity.
Absolutely.
Which we know is a huge part of our culture. And I want to tie this to our Good Place episode. And if you're a paid subscriber, our book club episode on how to be a good person. So when she's explaining how to be perfect, yes, that's right. When she's explaining why she has so much justice sensitivity, why she cares about these political issues, she said in this interview in Miss Americana that it's because she feels a strong need to be a good person in reaction to people telling her she was weird. Like there's this connection of justice sensitivity. People don't like me. They think I'm weird. I have to be better. I have to be a good person. This is in her song lyrics. How can I be better? And how can I be seen as a good person? I'm going to.
It's the same reason why my son screams at people that as we get into the cart, he screams, "Good people put their carts in the cart corral," because I have told him that on several occasions, and when he sees other people getting into their car without their cart, he will let them know in no uncertain terms that good people do this. And I hope that the shame encourages people to be better. Yeah.
Yes. Put your damn carts back. Well, this was the whole thing. Kant was trying to develop these rules, because if we have rules and we know what a good person does and doesn't do in every single possible scenario, which Kant lays out, and in the book, How to Be Perfect, you kind of take it apart why it's hard to operationalize. But if we knew those rules, then people wouldn't be talking shit about me behind my back saying I'm weird, because I would follow the rules. I would be a good person and people would know, is she a good person? Check one, yes or no. If you're a good person, you're liked, therefore you're not weird. You see how I got there? Expectation sensitivity is related to justice
because
sensitivity.
We do things right, we won't be weird.
To being called weird. So Taylor, yes. And so her justice sensitivity comes out of this place of expectation sensitivity. I know she has lots of that. Here's another example of Taylor's expectation sensitivity.
Oh boy. I'm constantly looking up restaurants on my phone and looking up menus on my phone. Standard chain restaurants that you can get everywhere because they are consistent. Oh my God. And you know what you are going to get. This is a chicken nugget fanatic. Oh, are we really? We're going there? Oh God.
Oh, wait. Yes, hold on. Okay, next quote. Don't give it away. Next quote. Why are you spoiler? Okay,
oh my
go.
God. Oh, wow. Hold on, folks. Hold on to your autistic hats. I was a real drama queen about eating healthy food when I was little. Like when I was a little kid, my mom would try to make me eat all this stuff. And I was like, I can't do it, Mom. I have a gag reflex. And I think I did have a gag reflex for stuff like applesauce. And if the texture is wrong, I'm almost never able to eat it. For like a 4-year period, all I would eat was chicken nuggets and French fries. I like neurotypicals, sarcasm.
Pause for the cause.
Yeah. I go through phases where I have a favorite thing for a while. It was Cracker Barrel, and I would go get biscuits and apple butter and breakfast no matter what time of day it was. And now it's Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I'm completely obsessed with it. Oh my God. So I wonder if she knows the label Same Foods and Safe Foods. This is, wow. I think somebody should tell her. Wow.
Should we tell her?
Wow. She's a member of the Chicken Nugget Club. Wow.
So, I don't understand.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Wow.
She's nuggies and fries.
Wow.
Nuggies and fries. Literally.
Wow.
Right. I mean, it's very funny that I was like,
wow.
Is she autistic? Who knows? No one will ever know.
Wow.
I mean,
so
I do have a gag reflex with the, when the textures are wrong.
like normal.
But who doesn't?
Like again, when you eat the wrong applesauce and you gag, like normal people. And so, yeah, this is one of those things that, so every once in a while, I store away information in my brain in case I ever meet a famous person. I know what to say, like any normal person would do. And now I have a thing to talk to Taylor Swift about. If Taylor Swift happens to be listening and you want to call me up and talk about chicken nuggies, I'm here for you, Taylor. Wow. All right.
When she...
Yeah. Well, we'll do that with our Tyson sponsorship. Get on it, Tyson.
Send her chicken nuggets.
Send us chicken nuggets that we will therefore send to Taylor Swift. It works out for everybody. Unless Taylor Swift doesn't like Tyson, in which case we'll partner with whichever capitalistic beast. Yeah, we'll do McDonald's. So, McDonald's works. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm autistic.
McDonald's. Why can't we just be sponsored by McDonald's? It's fine. Okay.
Oh God.
So the menu thing,
anything that is consistent,
go, wanting to always go to McDonald's or always go to Cracker Barrel. This is our culture. Our culture is going to be like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Cracker Barrel, McDonald's,
Wow.
Autistica. I already know the restaurants. I have read their menus. And it saves a lot of worrying. So people say like anxiety and depression are part of autism. Yeah, when you do not have tools to deal with your anxiety and depression, they get much worse when you're navigating a neurotypical world. Here's what Taylor has to say about that.
You need that consistency. Oh God. Oh wow. I worry about everything, future, past, present, where this is all going. What am I going to feel like in 20 years? Where am I going to live? It's like this and that and that, and it's like everything. Wow.
Yeah. We get it, girl. We get it, girl.
Yeah.
That's why everything, we have rules in Autistica. Everything is ordered. It all happens the way it's supposed to.
Give me a Zoom call. We'll talk about autistic-centered therapy to live your life in an autistic way. Wow.
Oh,
We did an
you're
episode
feeling
on
the
it. If anyone close to Taylor is listening to this, send her the AUCT episode. We'll talk. I'm very confidential. Who knows? I may be, therapist to the stars. I can't say. It's confidential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know a lot of autistic people have superstitions. Taylor is very superstitious, that's the word, because when you have expectation sensitivity, having some sort of coping tools like a superstition or a favorite number can help. Here's what she has to say about that.
Everything good in my life has had a 13 in it. At award shows where I'm nominated and I don't see a 13, I know I'm not going to win it. It pops up and I can't control it. It's always there when good things are happening. When I see it, it means everything is going to be okay. It's a good number, but people don't see its full potential. Oh, wow.
Now she's like personifying the number 13. It's completely her. The number 13 is like her. She has this relationship with the number 13. Please find the Brittany Sellers video. I'm going to put it in the link. You must watch the number 13 video.
Wow.
She also has a thing with 1989, but I thought that number 13 quote was a pretty good one.
That's
when
neat.
you have expectation sensitivity and you don't know you're autistic and you haven't had autistic centered therapy, you would be looking for stories like that. I mean, girl, if it works for you.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do to manage the chaos in the world, because thanks to the intense world theory, it's all about the chaos. So if 13 protects you from the chaos, then may 13 protect you from the chaos.
May 13, may the 13 be with you. It's got less of a rhyme to it. But she also talks a lot about her house and how organization in her home, she has to like control the environment. Here is what she says about that.
Oh, wow. I like to organize things. I like things to be neat and organized. People are kind of weirded out by it, but for when it comes to putting things together, I need to be organized. Structure. We had that very conversation earlier today.
We did.
Wow.
We did. She's like, how can I write
because we love our organization
if I'm not organized? Yes. She also said pants make me tired, which I think we can all agree. Pants make me tired.
I'm sitting here in cotton shorts and bare feet. So yes, I'm with you, Taylor. Fuck pants. Go on.
And then she said, my favorite thing to do is to sit on my couch. I watch endless Friends marathons for comfort. I just watch the same episodes over and over.
Because the predictability makes for a secure world.
Right. Right. So if all of this were not enough to make us believe that Taylor Swift is actually autistic, in addition to no matter what, she's an amazing representation of autistic culture, we have what happened this week, Matt, the final note in the chart. We know, yes.
I just find it hilarious that you have been cooking all this up, and then this is the kicker for it, because, oh my God, it was just revealed that she's related to Emily Dickinson.
Yeah, exactly.
Check out our prior episode, Poetry is Autistic, where we go into great detail about how Emily Dickinson was a trans man, an autistic trans man living back in the day and had to do everything in autistic ways. But tell us more about this uncovered nugget of information linking her to a famous autistic person who is also a very high masker.
Yes, exactly. So it turns but we know, right, if Matt was doing a diagnosis, family history would be a part of it. And it turns out
it always is, yes.
Taylor Swift may have, in fact, inherited not just her writing chops, but her autistic traits and tendencies from another tortured poet. So Ancestry DNA has discovered the biggest pop star on the planet is related to Emily Dickinson. The big reveal was shared just 2 days ago as we are recording this. They are 6th cousins, 6 cousins.
Wow, that's very close.
It really is. Swift and Dickinson both descended from a 17th century English immigrant. We talked about that immigrant on our episode. It's Swift's 9th great-grandfather and Dickinson's 6th great-grandfather.
Wow.
And they were settlers of Windsor, Connecticut.
And you can bet your butt that this man probably had a very organized tool shed, maybe collected stained glass or,
Let me tell you, on his boat, the mugs were lined up and hanging on a pegboard.
Oh, yeah.
Easy
as is the way.
access.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So Taylor's family was in Connecticut for 6 generations. Emily's family moved just to the border in Massachusetts. So yes, they're very connected. They are, listen, also there's a whole thing I left out. I prepared it, but I left it out about whether Taylor is queer or not. 100% of queer autistics believe Taylor is a queer autistic. That is a factually correct number, as you know.
Yeah, only the best details.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. But it's such a crazy debate. It's silly to talk about, but I will tell you, I have intentionally left that out. Feel free to give us your take on that. I've also left out the stuff about Travis Kelce and whether he's violent and whether that's a healthy or not healthy relationship and whether it's part of her people pleasing and audience pleasing. There's so many rabbit holes. I did not go down each and every rabbit hole. But if this isn't autistic culture, if we are not...
I'm sure there's a Taylor Swift podcast that does exactly that. But link us in the show notes. Yeah, it'll be great.
100.
Go on.
Yes, exactly. So first of all, if Taylor Swift is an autistic culture, I don't know what autistic culture is. I should not be making this podcast. And hello, autistic people. Our culture is now at the peak of its height of popularity and fame. How fucking weird can we be? All you have to do is be beautiful and be willing to mask and give up your humanity and your labor.
Yeah.
And you too can be well liked and autistic, or just unmask and we'll love you anyway. And we can look at the Easter eggs together.
Exactly. This is the way.
Matt, listen, man, it's been a long episode, but I had to do Taylor justice. So I am ready for your multi-part George Lucas. But for now, just give me a nugget.
Yes.
Give me a little nibble. Give me something good. What did you love about being autistic this week?
Well, this week, my son decided that he absolutely needed a Millennium Falcon at his grandparents' house. And this, because again, he has lots and lots of Star Wars toys here, but he does not have a Millennium Falcon at their house. So this week we had to engage in a full search across 2 states to find a particular Millennium Falcon, because he already has the Millennium Falcon toy here that he wants, but he wants a duplicate of it at his grandparents' house. So we had to engage in a full search. We ended up getting a few other Star Wars ships as consolation prizes, and his proper duplicate Millennium Falcon will be here Monday through UPS from Amazon. But it was a full-on search because he came to the realization, I am deficient in the Millennium Falcon department, and I absolutely need a duplicate Millennium Falcon right now.
I get it.
So the search began, and we engaged in a full-on search for every store we could go to, but it'll end up being here Monday because we need it to be the exact one so he can complete his collection in both locations.
It's so satisfying when you find it, though, isn't it?
Yeah, because that's the thing. It has to be the right thing. It has to be, you need it, because anything else is just an affront to God. You need the absolute thing that you need. So we finally found it, and it was satisfying. And he said, okay, Millennium Falcon be here Monday. And I was like, yep, Millennium Falcon be here Monday.
Our little timekeeper.
Yeah, he will now remind me every second from now until Monday when the Millennium Falcon will get here, and that he needs it at his grandparents' house, and that is where it will stay, presumably forever.
We will have a job for him on Autistica. He can remind us all what time everything's coming.
Exactly. That is the way.
Awesome. All right, you guys. I hope you appreciate this episode with the spirit of love and solidarity that was intended. Leave me your comments, but be nice. Listen.
And if you're Taylor Swift, hit us up. We'll like to talk.
info@autisticculturepodcast.com. Have your people call our people. Bye.
We'll be here. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Autistic Culture Podcast.
If you like this show, you can help other people find it by taking a few minutes to rate and review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
You can find out more about writing your book with me at differencepress.com. That's difference, DIFFERENCE, press, PRESS.com.
Or getting a psychological evaluation or consult with me at www.mattlowrylpp.com. That's MATT, Matt Lowry, LOWRY, LPP, as in licensed psychological practitioner.com.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. And remember,
no one ever changed the world by being like everyone else.
special thanks to our content manager, River Robbins, and Aaron Stoner, our producer, for making us look and sound good.